How did you become involved in pro-life movement?
Well, I was born into a family that was very sensitive to the call to protect life. And so it really began as a child when abortion was legalized in the early 70s, in 1969 in Canada. My parents were active already politically, and my mother was active in supporting mothers who were pregnant and needed that support. So the family really nurtured that sensitivity to life. Then I continued going to public schools and encountering people who thought abortion was okay, in speaking out, in public speaking, at university as well, going to a very non-Christian university, very pagan university. We also tried to be a voice for unborn children. When I finished university, I went traveling. I came to Europe. I was invited to go to Auschwitz by Polish friends, and that was a very profound experience for me to see a place where there was a complete disregard for a certain group of people and other groups of people as well. And when I read the guest book, "May this never happen again," people had written that over and over again. I thought, but it is happening again. And so I think at that point, God was preparing me for a greater commitment to give more of myself in the struggle to protect life. So.
What actions did you take after that event?
After I returned from Europe, yes. I believed God was calling me to make more of a commitment to the pro-life movement. And I took a job as a house mother in a home for expecting mothers. So I worked and lived with young women who were pregnant and on their own. During the time there, during the first few months or so, I met a friend who was involved with some medical research over the summer. And he was bothered one day. He said, "I'm not sure about the work that we're doing. It's bothering me." And I said, you should seek the truth then to find out where the source of this research is. And he was afraid to do that. And I thought, well, we have to seek the truth. We can't just carry on because we're being told to do so. And so I was praying for him. And in the context of that prayer, it's as though God lifted the veil for me, and I saw the reality of what happens in an abortion. I never wanted to see a film of a baby being aborted, but because it's so disturbing to see that. But it was as though God was forcing me to see that reality, and it touched me deeply. And I knew that things had changed. He was leading me to go closer to where this was happening. The sense of it not just being in the abstract, but very concretely, that there are times and places where our unborn brothers and sisters are being killed. And so that led me to go to these places. Yeah.
I read that you regularly try to advise women considering abortion. You're waiting for them near abortion centers in order to inform them. How did it happen? What have you caused by that?
Well, the very first time following that experience of knowing that I was to go directly where this was happening, I spoke with a priest. And he said, really pray about it, really pray. Again, my faith was not that strong at that point, and I didn't, it was because somebody had suggested to me go and speak to a priest that I did, otherwise I wouldn't have even thought of it. I went to the cathedral in Vancouver, where I lived and grew up, and I prayed. And as I left the cathedral, I met a young girl, 16 years old, who was sitting at the steps on the street, and she was begging. And I just started talking to her. And after a long time in our conversation, she told me, "I'm pregnant," and her boyfriend was close by. And as soon as I started asking her about what kind of help you would need for the baby, he was he made it very clear that she was not going to have the baby, that she was going to have an abortion. So I felt my responsibility was to try to support her, and we did just that. And in fact, she was regularly begging there. She was from out of the province. The abortion wasn't going to happen right away because she didn't have medical coverage. So we knew there was some time. I spoke with my parents. They said she's more than welcome to come and live with them. What does she need? Does she want to place the baby for adoption? Everything was offered to this young girl. And her boyfriend was really the one who was controlling the situation. So after about 1 month of speaking with them, continuing to offer support, she said that the abortion is going to happen. And so I met them outside this place the following day, and again tried to encourage her just to come with me to talk. It was very hard because her boyfriend was always there. Her boyfriend again said, we're gonna do this. And so we went inside together, and it was inside there where there were other women waiting, and an employee came and called the next woman for the abortion, and I stood up and I said, you don't have to do this. And the young woman said to me, but I have to do this. I have no choice, I have to. And that little encounter led to the employees getting involved and telling me, you don't have any business to be here. And I realized I had two choices. I could walk out, or I could stay there. And if that's all I could do, would be to stand there and to try to advocate for them. So as a result of that, not willing to walk away, they cut off the communication. I was not able to talk to the young woman I was with or the other woman. They stood in my way, and every time I tried to speak, they spoke over me. So they had called the police, and the police came and they said the same thing. You can walk out of here freely, or we'll take you out, but you can't stay here. And I felt the only thing I could do was to stand there. And so they did arrest me. They arrested my friend outside, who was just standing on the street, a public street, but they arrested her because the employees of the clinic had said, she's not supposed to be here, it's against the law. And the police believed them, and we were both taken to jail. I found this same girl about 2 weeks later, again outside of the cathedral, looking terrible, and she said, the baby's gone and I don't want to talk to you anymore. I saw her a few times after that, still on the street, looking terrible, and then I didn't see her again after that. I realized that God had led me in a very clear way to being present to Him. The whole situation was very upsetting to be that close to where life is being taken. It led me a lot of time to reflect on the truth that life is worth protecting, even if in the end there's nothing that can be done. So I continue to go reaching out to women, sometimes not being able to go inside because they have such high security at these places, and sometimes being able to go in with the women and talk to them there.
That was a really important aspect in your experience. Decisions about abortion are made autonomously by women or by influence from other people, the family or friends? Sure,
I think that if we look at other cultures, in some cultures abortion is still unthinkable. So naturally a woman does not want to do that. But in countries like Canada, where abortion has been normalized over the last 40 years, young women are being brought up, maybe their mothers had an abortion, maybe their friends have had abortions, so we become desensitized. So yes, sometimes a woman can say, it's my choice and I freely choose this, but other times it can be a boyfriend who's pushing them, parents. I've spoken with many women, especially in the jail. For a lot of young women, if they were pregnant as teenagers, they wanted their children, but their parents or their boyfriends didn't, and that's what pushed them. It seems like very often it's the young teenage girls who would want to protect their children and love them, and it's other pressures. So, but with older women, there's such a mentality, a pro-abortion mentality. Children are seen as things that you can choose to have or not to have, like possessions. So, but naturally, nobody would choose an abortion.
You were present outside the abortion clinics, and you were talking with women considering abortion, and because of that you were taken into police custody and then sentenced to jail. How did it happen?
Well, recently, in the last few years, I have tried to remain as close as possible to the women and the children I make a commitment to. So the last few times I was arrested inside the places where I've gone inside. This very last time, for which I spent 2 years in jail, I did go inside, but the staff, 2 of the nurses, pushed me outside. So I was forced to stand in the hallway of the medical building. So my situation, because I was on private property, some people feel differently. Some people would say, well, abortion's not right, but it's their property, and have a little bit of trouble sometimes understanding that if you're killing somebody on your private property, it's not okay. It's not something that we should respect. For my friend Linda Gibbons, who's in jail right now, she has always been on the sidewalk, so public property, and she has been arrested over the last 20 years for holding a sign and walking back and forth, giving a pamphlet to women. That is more of an outrage to some people. And if you happen to see the video of Linda, of her last arrest in August, there's a man who's just walking to his home or walking to a business, and he sees the police, 5 police with this little old lady, and he said, what's going on? And he was very troubled that police could arrest somebody on the street for holding a sign. And I think that would be the reaction of most people. But there's a lot of indifference in Canada also. There's a lot of people who just don't care. We don't care about the rights that we have. And so Linda has not received a lot of attention in the media. In fact, some people would say, but she's doing this to herself. She keeps going to do this. She knows that she could get arrested. So there's a lot of very thick apathy also.
During the trial, judge said that your God is wrong, the Christian God is wrong as it comes to opposing abortion.
Yes.
How did it happen?
Okay, so that was in the context of him being very upset. He spoke for a long time that I had no right to be there. I was arrested inside. This was a couple of years ago. And he said, if you think you have the right to tell other women what to do, you are wrong and your God is wrong. That was what he said. That was, yeah. And so he then, out of his anger, he sentenced me to 3 more months in jail, even though the Crown, the prosecutor, was satisfied with the 3 months in jail I had already done. Mm-hmm. He doubled that time, which is very unusual for a judge to do. So we did appeal the sentence, and the appeal court judge agreed that the judge was out of line in saying that. So we can only guess. I'd been before that judge 2 times, so maybe he was angry that I kept coming back. Maybe he had an experience of an abortion, maybe his wife or daughter, who knows. He was very, very angry.
Well, the main argument made against people involved in pro-life movement in Canada is that they are opposing the law. They're doing something bad because there are legal norms and rules. How do you see that?
Yes. It's not that complicated. If you read the Catechism, even in speaking about unjust laws, it's very clear. Our Holy Father, St. John Paul II, in the Gospel of Life, he spoke about if a law is unjust, we are not obliged to obey it. And in fact, we are obligated, we have a duty not to obey it. So it's just a question of examining what is the law saying. Is it contrary to justice? If it's contrary to justice, then it has no validity. So if a child is in danger, if a child is being attacked, we have a duty to protect those children. We are not bound by laws that say, do not go past this certain line, or private property. It doesn't make any sense. If you were on private property, could you kill anybody who comes onto your property just because it's your property?
It's true, it's nonsense.
Yes.
What are your plans for the future?
Well, after Poland, I'm hoping to go and take a time of prayer, of retreat, because I have not had the opportunity. In jail, it's a little difficult. So, and just to give everything to God, give Him these last few years and give Him the future and seek His will. So I plan His book to return to Toronto, where Linda is. So that's as far as I know. If he gives me the grace and the strength to continue, to reach out to women, to be present to them, then I will continue.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you. Pozdrawiam czytelników Polonia Krystiana.